2 years ago, my wife, Jenna, decided to get fit. For the first time in her life, she would exercise regularly, which was something I'd been doing for years. And I was pleased that she'd be joining me because sure, she looked fine, but there's a lot more to health and fitness than something as superficial as how you appear in a picture. So since then, she's transformed into someone that now regards a good diet and plenty of exercise as an essential part of her life, and in the process has accomplished things she never thought possible. But it has not all been plain sailing, and frustratingly, she ignored much of my useful guidance. Even more frustratingly, she's ended up arguably in better shape than I am. So where is she at now, and what are her training plans going forward? And does she agree that simply how you look in a picture is no way to judge anybody? I really hope so. So at the start of 2022, I was 48 years old and using high levels of activity, focus and commitment to keep the aging process at bay. Jenna was 32 and using high levels of genetic good fortune to eat what she liked, do very little, and still have a better looking Instagram account than me. However, cracks were appearing. She would get out of breath on long dog walks. The couple of pounds that she would gain on holiday would not disappear as fast as they did when she had been 23. And it had been some time since anybody in the YouTube comments had made the "isn't that your daughter" joke. She also saw, because she was filming a lot of it, the fun that I was having at races and competitions. So she decided it was time to change. Me, being me, I set about plotting a comprehensive plan that would take her from no fitness to pretty reasonable athlete. And it was comprehensive. There were spreadsheets and targets. We even bought a whiteboard. And a tip here for anyone keen to get their partner to give their activities a go and see if they can enjoy doing stuff together. Don't do the whiteboard thing, they'll think you're a dick. Oh, and before we started, we tested her inability to do all sorts of things, thus proving to her how important the process would be. Arguably, that tested our relationship more than her body, because emphasising to someone quite how bad they are as a motivational tool is probably up there with whiteboards. But hey, it was funny.
So that's the warm-up done.
And despite my less than ideal approach to the whole thing, Jenna's fitness and strength and endurance improved massively, as you would expect from somebody with huge, untapped newbie potential. People often say to me that they've left getting in shape too late because they're 30 or 40 or 50 or older. And they're wrong, because they can actually do something really quite cool. They get to enjoy dramatic performance improvements at an age where most people are experiencing the opposite. Even now, I would far rather do a sport that I'm not great at and look forward to getting better at than do something I'm already pretty good at and then worry about whether or not I can hold on to that level of performance. So for Jenna, the end of 2022 and into the first half of 23 saw her competing in Spartan races and high rocks. She was running track sessions and ultra marathons. She was in the gym most days. She was eating right all the time, and every measure of her fitness went up. And she was becoming almost slightly competitive about it all. It was the fittest she had ever been, and bearing in mind what's happened since, it might have been the fittest she'll ever be. Because as the summer of 23 drew to a close, things started to change. We were both in very good shape, and I decided to push myself further and see how good I could become. Jenna decided that she was happiest finishing events looking pleased she'd done it, rather than like her life depended on it, and so I was actually going to take a step back from the more full-on stuff. No more racing where the only thing that mattered was a new personal best. No more sacrificing all of the stuff she liked for an extra 1% of performance that she wasn't that fussed about anyway. She even took the whiteboard down.
Consider that a divorce.
And I was disappointed. I went into the end of last year wondering what 24 would look like. My assumption was that I'd be in peak physical condition, the gulf between us would be bigger than ever. And how far backwards would she go? Looking good on the beach is superficial, but it's still handy. Well, I needn't have worried, because my last 6 months are a combination of overtraining, injury and demotivation caused by competition fatigue that's well documented on this channel already. In case you missed it, I've got some work to do. But what Jenna has been doing has not featured here so much. So unless you follow her still better than my Instagram, you might be wondering what the last 2 years have resulted in for her. Well, she did slip backwards in the sense that her volume and intensity of training reduced, and the importance that she placed on doing well in competitions diminished. But because of that, she went forwards in a whole bunch of other ways. Up went her enjoyment of exercise and her interest in trying new sports, and she developed a healthy desire to do the things that she does do to a standard a little bit better than most if possible, which pretty much is what I've been telling people is the way to approach things for years, but ignoring for myself. She now will use the gym 3 times a week, runs a couple of times a week and cycles most weekends. Her diet is good. Certainly it's way better than before she began all this, but she still has plenty of cheat days, and strict is not really the word that she would use to describe how she eats. In fact, she's not really strict about anything. If she misses a workout or a run, she doesn't really care. If she plans to do a race and it doesn't happen for whatever reason, she doesn't mind. And she hasn't stopped competing, she has just decided to do it all with a "I'll just have fun" attitude. What's interesting about that is that last year I would have regarded approaching any sort of competitive event with that mindset as being suboptimal, to say the least. You certainly aren't going to perform to your best like that. But I've actually been proven quite dramatically wrong, because she's ended up entering a couple of events that we booked to do together alone, because I was either injured or so out of shape that I felt the whole thing was not worth it. It's a bit of a twist on the old tortoise and hare story. Imagine the hare never entered the race because he was miserable about being too fat to fit into his lycra suit. And so the tortoise laughed at that situation and raced on their own and told the hare to hold the camera. It's quite a big twist on that story. Having said all that, it would be wrong to think the early stages of her fitness transformation were done incorrectly or were without value. She has gained a lot by fast-tracking her fitness by diving in at the deep end the way she did. Because even if she no longer wishes to use it, she has developed an underlying strength and aerobic base that she never had before and can enjoy having at her disposal. For example, in the last couple of weeks, she did her first group bike events, most recently the London to Brighton ride. And while that event is not officially a race, she scraped into the top 20% of all riders, despite it being about twice as far as she'd ever ridden before. But because she has now that foundation of health and fitness to fall back on when turning her hand to something new, she was able to do relatively well. In summary, it is almost as though she watched my YouTube content from the past and took the message that simply pushing yourself to be a little bit above average is super fun, incredibly good for your health, mental and physical, and not that hard to achieve, so give it a go. So she did. The message she didn't take is the one that I provided her with directly, which seemed a good idea at the time. Push yourself to the absolute limit, sacrifice everything in search of goals you don't really buy into. It's not a message I've ever pushed here publicly because it's bit long to go on a t-shirt. So the result is she is now training and racing and looking just fine, while I am struggling to get back into training a long way from racing. And as I said earlier, looks aren't important. So as I progress back to full fitness, will I be taking a leaf out of her book, doing it with a little less intensity? Absolutely not. I'm going to get back in peak condition and start crushing it in every possible sense, until I relapse again. You can follow her journey on her Instagram, link below, or just hit like and subscribe to stay watching me here and see how it's really supposed to be done. Once I get back to doing it. As always, any questions or feedback, stick it in the comments. Any reference down there to "is that your daughter?" gets deleted, so don't waste your time.